Joining me now live from Melbourne is the man who chaired today's meeting, Federal Environment Minister Josh Frydenberg. Welcome to the program.
Nice to be with you, Elise.
You've got Chief Scientist Alan Finkel heading the review of the energy market. Will you follow through with all of the findings, even if it backs the state's push for renewables?
Oh, look, it's way too early to comment on what his findings are. His committee hasn't even been set up. But today was a very important breakthrough at a very important time. As you know, South Australia had an extreme weather event and they had a total blackout. It was nearly unprecedented across the national electricity market. And so it's reinforced to all the ministers today how important energy security is. And at the top of the communique that we all signed on to was that our primary responsibility is energy security, energy stability and energy affordability. We can't afford to see what happened in South Australia happen again, and that's what we are all determined to prevent.
Do you acknowledge that renewables is a part of that future security?
Oh, absolutely. Renewables are critical to Australia's energy mix. Indeed, about 15% of our energy today is produced by renewables. The Coalition has signed up to a bipartisan legislated target of 23.5% of renewables by 2020. It's going to be quite a stretch to get there. But what we have been concerned about and been particularly vocal about in recent weeks has been the state-based renewable targets, which we even heard at COAG today can raise serious questions about the cost, the efficiency and the location of investment.
So on one hand, you're saying it's going to be a stretch to get to the targets, but then the targets that the states are putting in place in order to renew our electricity base are reckless or aspirational or unrealistic. So which one is it? What are you trying to achieve here?
Well, actually, at least those words aspirational are their own leaders. I noticed that Jay Weatherill said that just the other day about South Australia's target. Look, our real concern is energy security, and that's what the ministers highlighted today, and that's why Alan Finkel will help develop a blueprint for energy security across the national electricity market. And we believe we can do that with renewable energy, but also bearing in mind the implications that flow when you don't put in place the best possible systems.
Okay, so the final report's due early 2017. How quickly do you see actual improvements in the network, like a new transmission line between South Australia and New South Wales?
Well, that interconnector was discussed today at the meeting, and both South Australia and New South Wales have agreed to work together in identifying the opportunities and the benefits that would flow from such an interconnector. But there are no silver bullets here, at least. That's just one element of the overall national electricity market package. And we heard today about the need for frequency control and ancillary services, which are very important because intermittent power, namely wind and solar, produce very different voltages and frequencies than do hydro or gas or coal, which can be baseload power. And then there are also questions that we need to talk about hardening the infrastructure that we have as a result of extreme weather events, as well as the new and exciting opportunities that come from battery storage. And today we were briefed at the meeting by the CSIRO. So there are lots of elements that are involved in the very complex energy equation. But I think what today reaffirmed, and it was a serious breakthrough, is that the ministers can work together across political lines, across state, territory and Commonwealth boundaries to ensure a more common and collective and common sense approach to energy security issues.
Back when the Coalition was debating the renewable energy target, the uncertainty around it saw investment in renewable energy collapse 80% year on year. What's your message to business and funds about the Coalition's commitment to renewables?
Well, it's there in legislation, 23.5% by 2020, and the renewable energy certificates are there to provide a return to those investors. And it is very important that we continue to encourage renewable energy. But at the same time, you've got to have a responsible approach to these issues. And what the events in South Australia showed is just how important energy security is. And the energy market operator, which spoke to us today, have highlighted in the past the problems across the system that derive from a greater reliance on intermittent power. And while battery storage is exciting. It's not at the stage where you can roll out at commercial levels to solve all these problems that have been identified. So it's all about getting the balance right. We're absolutely committed, Elise, to renewable energy. We're absolutely committed to reducing our emissions in accordance with our Paris targets, which were the second highest in the G20. But we also want to keep the lights on because we can't see a repeat of what happened in South Australia.
Minister, we're running out of time, but we've heard from the South Australian Energy Minister that there was a lot of support within COAG today for an emissions intensity scheme. Are you one of those supporters?
Look, the emissions intensity scheme has been put forward by a number of participants and reports, and no doubt, it would be considered in the context of further government thinking in this area. But I'm not going to prejudge the outcome of our 2017 review, which is the opportunity to see where we are as far as our 2030 targets are concerned, how effective our National Energy Productivity Plan is, how effective our Emissions Reduction Fund is, how effective the investments we're making in the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, and of course our renewable energy targets. So there are lots of pieces to this jigsaw, but today I think we made a big step forward, and you've heard that not just from the Commonwealth Coalition Minister, but you've also heard that from the state Labor ministers.
Josh Frydenberg, thank you very much for your time.
Good to be with you. Thank you.